a little ping in my ear to say recording. It's like a doorbell sound. Ciao, Alessandro. Welcome to the lockdown sessions.
Ciao, Brad. Ciao.
Ciao. This is so exciting because you and I have worked together like on and off for 7 years or something. So we met when you were at Disney. Now you operate as an independent leadership trainer, executive coach.
Yes.
Your focus has always been around kind of emotional resilience and communication. And inviting you to come to this session was really to explore and unpick a little bit from your experience, an Italian living in Paris with a family, both you and your partner working from home, owning your own businesses. What have your learnings, I mean, that already sounds like a headache. What have your learnings and your observations been during these 3 months? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where you want to start with this.
No, I was thinking, you're right. I've been living in Paris during the last 13 years. No, what can I tell you? I mean, I think the learnings in general for me, there's one, which is probably not really a learning, but something I already felt before the lockdown. But I think the lockdown reinforced it. So it's much clearer for me now. I think I want to work less and earn less money.
Yeah, right. I think you're not
Simply.
alone, right?
Simply, I've been working in big companies for almost 20 years. 9 to 6 kind of day, 5 days a week. And then I thought, I really feel like I really want to be independent and do what I like. But still, when you start as independent, you need to build up the business and do a lot of stuff, so a lot of work. And I realized that to me, the most important thing is to, from now on, I probably pick more the projects which I'm really passionate about and make sure that I can really be in the projects that I want to lead. And so choose them. So there's more clarity about my choices, and make sure that I do what I really like. That's the main learning for me.
How do you work out what those passions are? Because when you say it, it sounds lovely, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sucked straight in and think, yes, do you know what? I've observed the same. I recognize what I don't want it to be like in the next few months. But not everybody has the capacity to just know what their passions are. I mean, how do you know whether it's a passionate project? How do you know if you want to give your energy to something?
So to me, it's a matter of intuition. There's a lot of intuition. I think I've worked around it a lot. It's not all about rationality. What I see in this period is that a lot of people, lots of politicians are going back to rational choices. Let's try to solve this the way we've solved things in the last 12, 20 years. And I think at the end of the day, it's not about just being rational. There's a lot to work around intuition and being able to listen to ourselves at a deeper level. So that's what I do. I really stop a lot and just listen to what the client is proposing me, or the person I'm working with is the person I work with. What this person is saying to me. Does it ring a bell? Does it vibrate in some way? Does it sparkle in some way? So I kind of listen to that intuition.
And
that's key.
I'm just going to joke without mentioning names, but where was that intuition on the project we worked on at the back of 2019?
Well, that intuition was you. That intuition was you. Yeah, we've been knowing each other for years now. Worked together at Disney. And since I'm an independent, I really wanted to work with you. So to me, that was the main reason. At the moment of time, you could have offered me anything. I mean, to me, it was really, to me, it's a pleasure. To me, it's a pleasure to work with you. So that was the intuition.
And maybe what you're saying, and it really resonates to me, is it's not just about, say, the clients we work with, because as independents, you can see Rocky walking behind me there. It's not just the clients, is it? It's actually not just about the project or the client. It's actually about the people I want to work with.
Oh yes, you're asking something which is very important to me. You know, I got a lot of coaches sometimes who tell me, "Why do you work for this company?" You know, everybody knows that this company is a huge machine. Uh, you know, it's really not good for nature, not good for people. And then I think, do you know what? But the conversation I had with some of those people, there was it was at a very good level, and I'm working with people. You know, Mr. Company X doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's people. It's fathers, mothers with children, and when we can connect at that level, I think big companies can make big differences. So it's really all about how is that communication going? Is there a real link or not? Do I feel that I've got some energy to put in this project,
Yeah.
in this person or not? And that's the main choice. So I try to be as clear as possible about that.
And do you have like a grading sort of process in your head when it comes to the energy you get from people? Like, how do you read that? Because you talk about intuition, and that's about trusting what you're feeling, what you're sensing. Not everybody is experienced or prepared to trust that. So I'm wondering if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, oh, that makes sense. How do you go about trusting your intuition beyond just listening to yourself? Because how do you know what you're telling yourself is is right, is accurate?
Yeah, but that's right, because I don't think I'm telling anything to myself. I think it's really a matter of intuition. I think it's really a matter of feeling it or not. You know, at
Right.
which level am I listening to that? So sometimes I just feel it's the good thing, so I go for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a matter of intuition. Look, if if you take a look at what happened during the lockdown, you know, I was listening to the podcast and thinking when you said, you know, at the very beginning, everybody was like, "Oh, you really need to learn to play the guitar now or a new language." You know, everybody's going back in that rational way of thinking, which is
Yeah.
okay. There is time, which means you need to do something with that time.
Uh-huh.
You know, to me, it was not at all about that. I didn't feel it like that. To me, I just thought everything is slowing down around me.
Yeah.
I slow down with it. I just go with the flow, and I just kind of listen to what my intuition says. Now, everybody's lived in a state that I call the I don't know state. For how many weeks we thought,
Yeah.
no, where can I buy some bread? I don't know. Can I go on holiday this summer? I don't know. When we'll be able to go back to the bar? I don't know. Where is football coming back?
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know.
let's talk about football, as we can totally detract from this conversation and get sucked into when is football coming back. Actually, we know when football is coming back. It's coming back. Um,
Hmm.
I'm interested in your intuition, though, and even a little bit more, because when you say that, does it take time to trust that intuition? Because we don't always make the right decision based on intuition. I could feel something and it still might not be the right path.
Mhm.
And I suppose my question is, do you have to learn how to also get it wrong a little bit sometimes
Mhm.
to know when to get it right? Or is it something that is so just a natural if you start to really listen to your heart or your
Mhm.
gut or what you're feeling?
You know, the more I work, Brad, and the more I move in a test and learn way of proceeding. That's the way I proceed, really. So the intuition says, well, you should try go down that way, and then I always know that it's possible to come back.
Mm.
But just to give you an example of what you're saying to me, the other day I had a good friend who's a leader in a big company, and this person told me, you need to have a strategy for the future, for your coaching, offering, and school. What is your strategy? What will make you unique so that companies who have no budget, who live in a difficult state, what is your strategy? And I kept on thinking, I said, I have no strategy, and I don't feel like I just don't feel like having a strategy. I think having a strategy is going back to what we're used to do.
Right.
It's like build up phase one, step two, step three, listen to the needs and build a coaching strategy, a training strategy which might answer the needs. Nobody knows what their needs are today. So I just think it's all about intuition and connection to people, to a deeper level and to bigger things which are happening everywhere. So I say to myself, okay, my intuition is I should go down that way. If it doesn't work, I'll steer away from that. So I really iterate and do little
Yeah.
things instead of thinking too big.
And how do you maintain and enhance that connection when
Mm.
actually we are so disconnected
Mm.
right
Mhm.
now?
But it's funny. It's funny you say so because I don't feel we're so disconnected, you know?
Okay, but because then we can't be together physically.
Yeah, yeah. But look at that. Yeah, you can think we're disconnected on a social distancing thing, physical distance.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's true. But at the same time, it's the first time for humanity where we're all locked down, all of us, apart from
Yes.
Sweden, but that's another story.
Yes, herd immunity.
So we're all locked down, and all of us, so we could be Italian, American, German, Danish, whatever you like, and we're all experiencing the same thing. And to me, that's very, very deep. And for the first time, we're all hugely connected thanks to technology. So it's a polarization which is super interesting. It's super creative what's happening now.
Right,
We feel
because we're
disconnected, but we're even more connected than before.
right. And in
What the
fact,
hell
it's
is this?
yeah, because we're actually even more intimate. We invite each other into our homes. I
Yeah.
can, your kids can come on camera and say hi, and this is okay now. 3 months ago, if you were having a meeting, the kids would be out of the room.
Yes.
I was running a session with a client. I was doing a pitch the other day,
Hmm.
and the door was a bit open in the office because it was a hot day here. And Rocky comes into the room, and the client is the client is talking. Rocky jumps up on my lap, and he just starts yawning. This great big yawn, and the client just started laughing. Like, am I boring you? And one of the other guys in the group said, actually, I won't say Mr. X, you've been talking for like 8 minutes already. Enough. The dog's bored,
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that maybe to your point, right? It shows a connection. I'm listening to when you say that. The whole world is experiencing the same thing at the same time. Maybe for the first time ever, we actually have an opportunity to become an empathic society, because we all are experiencing what others are experiencing. I know the boat looks different wherever you are.
Because everybody went to look for toilet paper.
Right, what was that about, by the way? And pasta.
The first week, you couldn't find any toilet paper, whether you're English, French, or American.
Right.
But it's true. It's true what you say. So get ready. My kids might show up at some time and make a little bit of noise. And yeah, I think we might become more empathic in some way. So even if we feel we're disconnected, the reality is at a deeper level, and that's where the intuition for me is.
Mm.
That's that creative space which is important to me. At that space, in that space, we're connected, and I can deeply feel it. And it's for the first time we have this amazing technology which allows us, to be really connected. And you have experienced it too, because you told me before. But I've done coachings online, I've done trainings online, and I've done hybrid stuff too.
Yeah.
So last week I've had a coaching course where I had 4 people in the room and 4 people in 4 corners of France.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. So that shows us that many things are possible. I think it's closing some doors and opening other doors based on real connection.
Yeah, and you're right, because I can go back a couple of weeks ago, and we were running a coaching program in APAC,
Hmm.
in Asia and Pacific, and we were finishing the program. It was a graduation. And the graduation normally would be in one of the Asian countries, so China or Singapore. We go to India, and obviously no travel ban for everybody. So this year we had 120 people graduate in a Zoom room.
Here we go.
Right, and you've got everybody on screen, and you've got videos playing, and you've got VPs joining from different parts. So we had Australia, Korea, China, Japan, India, me here in the UK, a couple of guys who had gone back to maybe their European families, and it was an incredible energy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I suppose part of me wants to maintain that rather than just snap back into what it used to be like in, you know, previous months and years when actually everybody's got their head down. Maybe we were disconnected when we were actually co-located, and now that we're not co-located, we're actually more connected. Maybe that's actually what I'm picking up from you.
No, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. At least when I'm going back to your first question, I think we're asking some people, most of people are asking themselves the right questions. You know, okay, now you have a choice. You have a choice to do something on Zoom or whatever you like, or do something in the same room. So, what is the difference, and what can I put into these different spaces, which is different and which is unique? So there's really, to me, there's more clarity. You can really reevaluate your choice and ask yourself the right questions, and actually do some things that you couldn't do just or you didn't know you could do a
Right,
few
maybe
months
it's
ago.
that, right? Yeah, and actually, on a bigger scale, I think a lot of businesses have realized that working from home is okay.
Yeah.
It used to be, you know, if you were working from home, you weren't really working. Some managers were very uncomfortable with a lack of trust and feeling of lack of control. You know, oh, I don't want you working from home because you're going to be watching TV all day, not doing it. But actually, for 3 months, most businesses have survived and produced. And actually, all of a sudden, people are thinking, well, do we even need to go back? I wouldn't want to be in commercial property or facilities right now, because I think these are risky roles.
Definitely, yes.
Because are they required? And I'm wondering, to your point about these questions that you asked yourself,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we're coming to a point in this next phase, this kind of recovery phase that everyone's going through. People have got some serious questions to ask themselves. You know, do they want to go back to an office? Do they want to get the metro in Paris with 180 other people on the platform with or without a mask? Some people will just feel really unsafe. Like the psychological safety now for me is a big thing that I'm wondering whether your empathy, your intuition, your connection piece is going to play a really big part in what happens next.
Yeah. I don't really know what's happening next. I will listen and see. What I do hope is that we might look for the answers in everybody's intuition and not just in a bunch of people, which is the risk to me. I give another example. I've had another friend of mine the other week is working for another big company, and she told me, okay, I've left my people at home for 3 months. I feel they're a little bit disconnected, demotivated. So I don't know what to do. But the good thing is that they will soon come back to the office.
Right.
And do you know what? Myself and the other leaders were starting 2 weeks before to pull out a strategy to give them. And so we're going to be, I'm going to be there with the finance director, with the HR director, and we need to understand how we will reorganize the future. And I was thinking, once again, I mean, you're doing everything you very well know you did in the past. It's like a bunch of people, old leaders, they need to think for everybody. If I were a leader today of a company, I would ask myself, who is the leader today? Who is the leader? What is the role of a leader? I would simply put my people around the table and say, how did you live it? Have you lost people? Have you lost some of the dearest people in your family, some friends? What have you experienced? What have you learned? Do you want to come back? If yes, what is the right conditions? And what should this company do at the end of the day? What should this company do? And really, really ask the right question. And going back to what is really important.
I'm not sure enough companies are doing that.
Well, you know what? I don't know. What I see is that there are more and more people around me asking themselves those questions. Now we need to see how many people will have the force to steer away from these ancient reactions.
Part of those are like core human needs, though, right? You know,
Mm.
psychologically, control, security, inclusion, and trying to appeal to those core human needs is one of the greatest challenges in times of uncertainty. You know,
Mm.
I've heard that VUCA phrase a lot during
Mm.
lockdown: volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And
Correct. Yes.
actually, that's the world we live in now. Your I don't know world.
Yeah, I think it's the I don't know world. And it's going to be like this, like that, like this forever. So if I had a tip to give to the leaders, I would tell them, go on with the lockdown. Just don't go back and run back to, oh my God, it's over. I can go to the restaurant and have it. Yeah, you can, but sometimes go back to lockdown. And I think
Yeah,
that's what I want to do. I want to give more lockdown to people. Slow down. That's
right.
at the end of the day,
It's
slow
that
down.
phrase. It's that slow down phrase that I love when you're saying it. Right. It's
Just slow down. Yeah, you've been changing the world from your sofa in the next 3 months. Make sure you do it sometime. I think when you pay yourself a coach or a therapy or whatever, um, these are different waves of lockdown you're giving yourself. It's a big gift.
yeah.
I can sometimes slow down, breathe, reevaluate my choices. And going back to your question, how do you follow your intuition? That's what I do. I just give myself some organized lockdowns. And I think it's really needed. So I hope more and more leaders see the value of that. And when I mean leaders today is everybody. Everybody can be a leader.
Well, you have to lead yourself. I think one of the things
Hmm.
my observation in lockdown has been is that
Hmm.
actually leadership genuinely starts from within. And
Hmm.
unless I have that clarity that you've talked about, actually, this has nothing to do with position or what's on your email signature. This is
Yeah.
to do with the clarity of your decision making. It's to do with your values and what's important to you. And a little bit listening to you, it's about the courage to be brave enough to change, to challenge the process and say it doesn't have to be the way it was.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be a process.
Perhaps actually it's
It
just
doesn't
about
even have
looking.
to be a process.
Mm,
To me, we really need to move away from these step one, step two, step threes here and there, when possible, and really feel that there's something which is there's another space we can hear and we
yeah.
can feel, which is amazing. I've done a webinar in the last three months, which is called Gaia. It's the U theory. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, go on.
Um, it's amazing. It's a professor of the MIT in the USA who has created a theory called the U Lab, called the U theory, sorry. But what I wanted to say is that he managed to do a webinar with thousands of people around the world. And we were like 2,000, sometimes 5,000 people on Zoom. And he were
Yeah,
doing breakdown rooms. And believe me, that field, that kind of high consciousness was there. And I was chatting with people from Ukraine or from Poland or from Italy at the same time, and we
right.
felt very much connected. So there is something in that space where we can find the right solutions. It's not always a process.
And maybe this goes back again to your empathy piece, because
Hmm.
for the first time ever, everyone is experiencing the
Mhm.
same global challenge, whatever that means for them. Um, and I don't think we can necessarily look to our political leaders for moral guidance or role modeling, because there's so many challenges to the decisions that they've made, as I read every day in on my news apps. But maybe, to your point, there's this opportunity to kind of open up our hearts a little bit more, to say, actually, I'm going to feel this. I'm going to recognize the empathy I have with a fellow worker in Poland or Ukraine. And actually, by talking about how does it feel, we'll find a path that helps us know what it looks like next month. And if we carry on talking, maybe in 3 months' time, we have another conversation and the path changes again, because we almost become connected to the energy of what's happening rather than the process of let's go back to work. If I'm hearing you.
Correct.
Yeah.
In small cycles, because everything changes very quickly today. So instead of, pulling out the right strategy to get out of the lockdown and deal with the next 3, 4, 5 years, you don't know. Nobody knows how the next 5 years are going to look like.
No.
Will there be more waves of COVID or not? Or we don't know. Nobody knows. So let's go with the I don't know. Let's go with it. Let's go with the flow.
I love the idea of living in an I don't know world. I think that's we've found the title for the podcast episode.
Go for it.
Living in an I don't know world.
Yes.
Alessandro Antonelli speaks.
To me, it's like that. So it was so funny to see how everybody copes with the I don't know situation.
My sense is that if you put people in groups, as soon as you put them in a group, the I don't know starts to spread as well. And people are looking sometimes for that guidance. It's almost like they become children. So they come to you and saying, hey, where can I buy a banana from? Well, you can buy a banana from the same shop you always bought a banana from. Whether they've got any, that's maybe the question you should be asking. But where do you buy a banana from? It's still the supermarket.
Yes. You're right. You know what? I think in the future, I'd really like to work with people who have tasted the I don't know, and who start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So for once in my life, I just can go with the flow and connect at another level with myself, with the people around me, and with people around the world. And maybe at some point, a great sparkling idea will pop up.
Yeah.
And that idea will come from a different place than what I knew in the past, which is like, okay, let's follow the process, ask for the needs. Let's call a consultant who puts together the strategy for me. No. There's something which can pop up from another level.
Well, it engenders creativity, actually, if you take that approach. Because you're not stifled or limited by a structure. You're actually saying the structure we put around us is one that is entrusted to our intuition, our feeling, our energy, and our landscape right now.
Correct. Look, in the past months, I've worked a lot with artists. Instead of working with consultants who have got many processes in their toolbox, I wanted to work with artists.
Yeah.
And to me, that was my intuition. And I think art needs to become more and more important in the way we work, simply because those people listen to their intuition. They create from an inner space, and they're able to generate some very, very strong emotions.
Yeah.
And if you tell them, how did you put together that song, or how did you put together that, that melody, they don't have a real process, but it's just magic. And I think that can really inspire people to do things differently. I work with the great orchestra conductor. Now I'm working with dancers, because I think a lot of people, a lot of things, a lot of new ideas come from the movement, from the body, and not from the rational side of it. The rational needs to be there, of course, but everything needs to be aligned, with this creative space I was talking about, the body movements, the emotions. And so that's why I love working with artists. I think they have a direct path to that particular space where creativity can lead to new ideas.
And that's a balance that is definitely not quite there yet when you look at the corporate world.
Yeah, it's not there yet. But at the same time, this is the first time I worked with an artist. The artist did what he had to do, and then I arrived as a coach, and I pulled out my Post-it, and I could see the energy going down in the room. And they were thinking, oh, here it is, the Post-its again. And oh my God, we need to work around the strategy. The coach is there, and I thought, oh, that's a big
That's not
mistake.
working.
That's not working at all.
Yeah.
And and I think the companies are now still very rational, but they feel they want to inspire differently, and people want to be inspired differently.
Well, I think you're right, and actually, I'll reference my nephew here, who was working during lockdown, actually on coming up with his purpose. And he came up with, he wants to inspire hope through creativity. And so to your point, he is an artist, as in painting and also composing music. And for him, inspiring hope through creativity is his contribution to the world and his desired impact of that contribution. And I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, yeah, that's his language. To create something that inspires a new way of looking at the world just through his lens, but it becomes a collective lens that changes the landscape. And maybe in that, we've got this opportunity. Maybe we've even come full circle in our conversation, Alessandro, because when we started out, you were talking about kind of how things had slowed down in this. And maybe what we're talking about here is actually how we come round to a point where if we just stop and think about how we used to do it and step away from that, we might just find a completely new, innovative, intuition-based, hopeful future that's got nothing to do with strategy, and you won't have to write a business plan for your you'll have a validation for not writing a business plan, and that will be fantastic.
That'd be absolutely great. Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah, but I really hope that field of empathy, or the way you want to call it, that people can really feel it and nurture it. This last thing I was thinking, while you were speaking, I was thinking of Andrea Bocelli. Have you? I don't know if you saw him during the crisis in Milan. He was singing in front of the Duomo in Milan, and he was on his own, just singing there. And I don't know how many people saw that video, and I think that really created that field at that moment. A lot of people felt it, even if you've never seen Milan or you don't know who Bocelli is. That field, that melody, that voice, that went straight to the heart, which is more than just emotions. It's really a creative inner side. So I hope we can really reconnect to that.
People started to replicate it all over the world, singing on their balconies, singing outside people's homes. I tried it here, but everyone told me just to be quiet. They weren't interested so much. Shut up!
Shut up, Brad.
Who wants to hear you sing? Oi, shush.
Well, that's because you're not Italian.
Right, that's my problem. I don't mind pasta and a wine, but I can't actually sing. Alessandro, I think we've come to a real natural pause point. I think that was brilliant. Yes. Thank you so much. Can we do this again in a couple of months' time and see what the landscape looks like then?
Definitely. I'd be more than happy to do it again with you.
I think that would be brilliant. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Brad. Ciao. See you soon. Ciao.